Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Bubba Page, serial entrepreneur, angel investor, and founder of InfluenceVC and thebusinessbootcamp.com. Bubba has built multiple businesses, experienced both success and failure, and now works with founders through investing, advisory, and education. His work blends business, investing, and life, focusing on not just building companies, but building a life around them. Bubba, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Hey, thank you. This is fun. I love talking about this stuff.
I hope so. And it's a pleasure to be talking about it with you. So thank you so much for joining me today. And now, Bubba, with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning of their journey. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up the companies. And then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, one of the things I try and, whenever I go teach at universities or colleges, I always tell these student entrepreneurs to get started right then and there. Because I was a student entrepreneur, I got asked to join a company. I had no idea what entrepreneurship even was, but it was 2 years of some of the greatest education by just doing it. Going out there, starting a company, building a business, competing, doing the college competitions. I ended up selling my ownership to my partners 2 years later. And so I had a little bit of cash to go and buy a townhome and be able to, start my new life. I had just gotten married. And so starting as an entrepreneur and as a student can be a huge advantage. Usually you don't have a mortgage, you don't have kids, you don't have all these life responsibilities, and you can fail and you're okay. And it doesn't deter other people at different ages. Most millionaires don't happen until they're 42, is the average statistic that I've been reading. But it started in college, and that gave me the excitement about entrepreneurship. So then in 2009, I started an outsourced sales company called Launch Leads, and ended up hitting Inc. 5000 3 different years. So we had some pretty stellar growth. Nice. And then I ended up selling it in 2020, which was phenomenal. It was literally right before COVID, and tender mercy, let's say, from a higher power, to have that transaction go, before everything else. So long story short, started in college, got my own started in 2009. In the interim of 2020, and I'm just going to pause for a quick second. It looks like my video is...
We're outside. Yeah, no, I was just trying to let it catch up. But
it
wait
is,
a second.
But will it, on the recording, will it be totally fine?
You're back up now. Usually we manage to get them in. I don't know why sometimes it pulls from both Zooms, but you're back in sync on my time now. It just took a little bit of lag. But
it was like totally stopping.
I was trying to pay attention and not read your lips at the same time. Yeah, because you was a little bit behind.
Is the sound still working? Is it just the video?
Yeah, it was just a video that lagged, but that might be due to the connection, so we're all good now. We're all good. You're on point now.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to make sure. I'm going to turn on Do Not Disturb just to make sure. See if that...
Did you get a text?
Yeah.
That messes up on my end as well. I have to turn everything off.
Okay.
It's Zoom.
So I'm gonna see if this'll, and you know what? I'll shut off my other computers and I'll just use this iPad. Okay. Sorry. I just felt like that was something I needed to address, especially if they can edit this part out. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So all I'm going to do is just say, so I started the business in 2009 and ended up selling it in 2020, right before COVID happened. And it was a tender mercy. Honestly, I think it was a blessing from God to have that transaction occur. And our children, if you can see in the background, I have 8 children. And so babies 7 and 8, twins, were born. It's wild. The wire happened on a Friday. The twins were born on Sunday, and COVID shut everything down on Monday.
No way. Busy 3 days.
It was crazy. But in between there, in 2014, I started a venture-backed software company. And I even got accepted into this accelerator called Techstars. which is similar to Y Combinator, if you've heard of that one. And so
I have.
I took that tech startup and felt like we were going and growing. But long story short, we ended up having to shut it down 2.5 years later. And it was devastating. And so having had that loss from 2014 to 2016 and a half, let's say, um, it like shook me up. It was something I had never dealt with, that type of a professional, something that didn't pan out, didn't work out like that. And it really hit the confidence for sure. And luckily, the other business was still going and growing. I'd hired a CEO; they were continuing to grow, um, and eventually exited in 2020. So that side worked out, but the venture-backed software company didn't. And it's a big part of my story because having had some successes and then having a failure, it helps to put things into perspective. And if you've
Yeah.
been around entrepreneurship long enough, you're probably going to have some kind of a failure, right? So after selling in 2020, my now ex-wife and I had built a company called The Page Company together, and she had started doing an amazing job online, building social media audience and following. So we ended up building digital products and physical products for the audience around budgeting, productivity, and even cooking. It was mostly women, that mothers that followed. And so I spent a lot of time kind of with the social influencer world. And we ended up hosting social influencer events and retreats. And so when I got a chance to do my own thing again, I created influence.vc. And so influence.vc is it's an angel investor syndicate. So I write checks as an angel investor. I'm close to 30 deals now. And I invite my network of investors to come and invest with me. It's called a syndicate. And so I host this syndicate or group of investors on Angel List, and anyone can join. It's totally for free. You do have to be an accredited investor, and then you can
Hmm.
see the deals that I'm doing and join if you want to come along with some of the deals that I've invested in. And in my angel investing career, I now have 5 unicorns that I've invested in since 2019, which out of less than 30 companies, that's not a bad number. Unicorns are companies that are valued at over $1 billion, and so that's been a great path to be on. And so when I invite these other investors to come in, I put my own money into each deal, and then I invite them, and then we together pool our funds to go onto the cap table
Cool.
of that startup. Mostly consumer product and consumer tech companies is who we've invested in, because the name Influence VC came because I can leverage and use my strategic value of influencers and the know-how how to work with influencers, so that when we invest in a company, they're able to utilize and work with influencers to grow and scale their
Love
business
it.
faster.
Yeah.
That's where the name Influence VC came from. And
Beautiful
so
stuff.
that gives you a little bit of a background. That's where influence came. And then I found that there were a lot of people that were following me on LinkedIn or Instagram who really wanted to be an entrepreneur, but they didn't know how to do it. And so they didn't know where to go. They didn't know how to ideate and come up with something. They didn't know how to validate that product, and then let alone scale. So thebusinessbootcamp.com was born. And I've been helping, mentoring, advising entrepreneurs through either coaching or mentoring or even online programs
Love it.
through thebusinessbootcamp.com.
Beautiful stuff. Amazing. Firstly, thank you so much for sharing that journey. And it was such an insight into a little bit about like what you do in your world. And I think when it comes to angel investing, obviously it's not easy when you're investing probably. I know myself, I've been trying to find companies you run through, you don't know what you're doing. So I love the fact you're like making it very clear and easy for people to know where to put their stuff. You're trusted, you're doing it yourself, they're doing it with you in that aspect, they're kind of sharing that insight. So that's a really cool avenue. And naturally from the company's perspective as well, influencer marketing is so important nowadays. It's basically all you can do. So the fact that you're kind of giving them an insight to that world, how they can leverage their own company and moving forward from there. I went a little bit too English and too quick then. I went in a little bit forward from there. It's a really nice angle that kind of sits well for everybody. And then obviously with all your experience in business, and one thing I love that you said obviously is learning from your mistakes. And I feel like that can be applied to life. A lot of people do get halfway down the road no matter what they're doing, and then they suddenly find themselves stopping because they've failed or it doesn't work out the way they wanted to, or the road
Yeah.
it hasn't gone as smooth as they thought it would. And naturally that happens no matter what. So it's about, as you say, learning from those mistakes, pivoting a little bit, and then where can we we put that? Where can we move forward from there? And what is that next step we need to take? Which is a big thing when it does come to business. And now, obviously, helping people out on that aspect as well and putting all that knowledge to good use. It must feel with such fulfillment at the end of the day when you see other people kind of just muddling along and realize you've solved a problem for them. It's a
Oh
really
yeah.
cool journey to
No,
share.
it's definitely a mission driven. I honestly have felt compelled to try and help and mentor entrepreneurs. I've
Love
been
that.
mentoring and advising entrepreneurs for 15 years, but formalized it with a framework, with the tools and a system through the businessbootcamp.com. So, and that, was only around, it's only been around for a little bit, so over a year. Um,
No.
but what's fascinating about the angel investing side, a lot of entrepreneurs, if they're listening here, they're founders, they want to get involved in other companies as an investor. Most of the time, angel investors have they don't have a great success rate because they
Okay.
typically don't see enough deals. And so when you join, that's why we invest in funds. I'm invested in 6 different funds. So
Yeah.
they're professional investors. They see tons of deals. I give them my money and then I bank and I trust that they're going to invest in good startups. When I started InfluenceVC, I was starting because of social following. I was starting to get a lot of deal flow. And so deals were coming and coming and coming from San Francisco, which is where I grew up, here in Utah, in Colorado, where I went to Techstars. I have relationships with Y Combinator. So I was getting deals from all over the place. And because I could see 100, even 200 deals sometimes in a month, I was able to cherry pick the best deals that I could see.
Awesome. Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems with angel investors. They don't see enough deals. So they might pick companies to invest in, but only after seeing 5 or 10. And so you have to imagine if I can see 1 or 200 and pick one, I'm probably going to have a higher success rate than if somebody's only seen 5 or 10. And
Yeah.
so that's why I have this group of investors because they don't have the deal flow. And so they come to me, I've got a bigger deal flow and I have access to deals that maybe they wouldn't. For example, I invested in Mr. Beast. And that would have only come because of relationships of who I know and who I'm connected to.
Yeah.
And so being able to get involved into deals like that is more rare. And then finding the absolute best deals possible. So that's one of the reasons why I even created Influence was to be able to allow more people into deals that I was seeing that they couldn't.
Love that.
And from a fulfillment side, honestly, the businessbootcamp.com, it really does like fulfill that need to give back because you have you've been doing entrepreneurship for 20 years like me. You have learned, and not that I'm perfect and I still make mistakes and failures for sure, but there's elements that you've learned that you don't want other people to make the same mistake. You want to help them learn so much faster. And so it's so fulfilling when you watch somebody actually put the framework together. And I love to start with the end in mind. So when I'm working with someone, I want to know, where do they want to be in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years? Where do they want to be? What is their ultimate goal in life? Not just from a monetary standpoint. What lifestyle do they want to be living? Where are they going to, where do they want to actually physically live? What does it
Yeah.
look like for their family? You can tell I'm a family man. Like it's God, it's family, it's fitness, it's finance. Like those are the primary important pieces in my life in that order. And work and money, to me, that all comes after those most important
All right.
pieces. And so when I'm coaching or mentoring someone, I really dive deep into that because I think a lot of these entrepreneurs out there love them, but they're preaching like, here's my Lamborghini and here's my big house. But what about their kids and their family? Like what? And they can have both, and that's totally fine. But I just want to make sure people understand, like, look,
Yeah.
I'm going to put God first. I'm going to put my family and my kids and my physical health and things in a place where it's even more important than just grinding 100-hour weeks. And so
No.
it's not everybody's cup of tea, but that's my vibe, that's my jam. So when people kind of know that's my style and that's the where they want to go, then I might be the type of group to work
Yeah.
with.
But I love that. And I feel like with most entrepreneurs, naturally, that's why they start a business. Of course, is for the impact, but for the lifestyle you get with it. But if that lifestyle's not providing you with what you want because of someone else's version of success, exactly what you said, driving a Lamborghini, paying off that big life. But if you're idea of happiness and your idea of success is to spend time with your family, sit at home, make sure you're building a good life for yourself outside of business, then what more could you want? Naturally, everything else tends to come good when you are following your purpose. So I love the fact that you're very much making sure that your clients do exactly the same thing as you and just living the life that they've built out for themselves. So I do want to dive into the businessbootcamp.com a little bit more, just so the listeners can have some
Yeah.
clarity on the aspect of it. So when you are working with your clients, what is your style, your approach, Bubba? Like, what is it like to work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically when people work with me or my team, they're working on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis, and we're
Okay.
meeting with them, Zoom like this. It's 45 minutes every time we're meeting. And we initially, like we talked about, we start with the end in mind. And we want to know, where are they trying to go? Where is their goal and vision? Because if we know where their goal and vision is, we can work backwards to create a plan. And then you have a step-by-step plan. You can know, if you want to be in some place in 5 years, what is it going to take you right now in this week to be able to progress towards that level of a goal? And so I love to try and make the plan. And of course, some of those plans can modify and change over time, as with any entrepreneur in their journey. There's some bumps in the road and ups and downs. But when we work together, there's homework in between when we're not talking to each other. We're able to chat back and forth to make sure they stay on track. The homework is all about following a framework. So we want to make sure that if they are brand new to entrepreneurship, how are they ideating? How are they creating
Mm.
ideas? And if somebody says, I want to do a window washing business, then we'll say, okay, let's talk about what that looks like versus a tech company. Let's talk about that and figure out which one fits their background, which one fits their skill sets, maybe some of their assets that they already have in their network. And if we can put a Venn diagram and see where all of their value adds are, somewhere in the middle there is going to be a more ideal business for that unique individual. And maybe they grew up and they loved animals. And so they walked dogs and they took care of animals. And so maybe there's something more in the animal space for them because they already have an expertise. It's part of their passion. They love it. Maybe somebody's more in the fitness realm. And so but it doesn't have to be just a personal trainer. They can create a tech company around, fitness because they have that background. They can become a social influencer if that's the direction they wanted to go. And then there's multiple ways of creating income from there too. A big part of it is I don't want them to quit their job just yet. I want them to, if they have a full-time job at the moment, I want them to keep the full-time job because there's so many ways to create what's called an MVP nowadays, a minimum viable product. They can do that through AI now to get a website going, to get some minimal product it's not fully fleshed out, it's not perfect, it's put together with duct tape and shoestring sometimes. But the idea is that then you can validate your idea before you go spend hundreds of thousands of dollars creating something. So ideation, the generation of ideas based around your assets, your values, what you have. Then validating the idea is to go and talk to actual customers, not your family members who will pat you on the head and say, good job, I love what you're doing, I think it's great. No, other people who are not related to you, and they will tell you if they want that product or service based on them putting money together, like if they actually pay for it. So I know it's challenging and some people have a hard time, but I prefer the idea of selling before you design and build. So sell, design, build in that order is how I would prefer the entrepreneur to move. It's almost like thinking about, if you heard of Kickstarter before. So
Yes,
people
I
have
have.
used Kickstarter or Indiegogo. For the product space, it works really well because you can come up with an idea and put together some mock, diagrams, and then you sell that product before you've ever built it. That is absolutely genius because you can prove that the market wants your idea before
Yeah.
you go and manufacture or do the thing. I believe you can do the same thing with service-based businesses and with technology companies. You don't have to have the full app or product or website or ready. You can sell. And if you sell it early, you may have to do it at a discount because maybe you don't have the thing ready yet. And so you'll have to say, okay, it costs $100, but if you buy now, it's only 50 because it's going to take me 3 months to get it to you or whatever, just like Kickstarter does. If it's a service-based business, and so that means you're providing something, for the person, and you're physically going to do that service, or someone on your team is going to do that service. A lot of times you don't even have to build or buy the products yet before you go and sell that service. So this is a very simplistic example, but mowing lawns, you don't even have to own a lawnmower before you go and start selling the service. Once you go and sell and get 3 or 4 or 5 customers, then you better go use those funds to go buy the lawnmower, right?
Yeah.
And then you can provide the service. But I'm gonna pound it, on my little pedestal, that you want to sell something before you design and build, because that way you can validate that the market wants what you have.
100%.
And there's too many excuses about, well, I have to build the perfect thing before I can show it to anybody. That's just false. You don't have to do that anymore, especially with social media, especially with websites. You can spin them up so much faster now with AI.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's part of the process. And then the scaling element. So ideation, product validation, and now scale. I'm a big believer in nailing it before you scale it. So you work with your initial customers first to really hone in, and they probably should have some kind of a lower price because they're your initial customers, and you're probably going to mess up. And so you're honing in how you're servicing them, what type of result they're going to get. And as you get better and better, more testimonials, more case studies, then you can increase your pricing to see what the market will bear.
Yeah.
And so then scaling it only after you've nailed down how are you going to get the right results, how are you going to get it. I think, Tony Robbins said something one time. He said, business is all about love. And I was like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? And he said, if you really show love to your customer and you do the absolute best thing for your customer, it's going to be really hard to fail. And as long as you're charging enough for your service to have profit in your business, and they're receiving an incredible offering from you, whether it's technology, product, food, service, whatever, if you share that love with them and they feel that love, they'll probably become raving fans of yours, because they can feel that you're so passionate and that you love what you're doing and that you're doing it at the best of your ability. It's really hard to fail once you've proven out, the validation, and then do it. So scaling is all about systems, it's process, it's frameworks, and trying to work together, bringing on team members and hiring the right people in the right time. So that's the scale. Usually I'm working with the entrepreneurs that are kind of the 0 to 1 million range. So they're just getting started, they're ideating, they're doing it. Once they get to $1 million in revenue, there's plenty of other coaches and mentors that have honed in that demographic. So I help the beginner entrepreneur take that next step through the businessbootcamp.com.
Love it. And as you said, when they're past that 1 mil, there's so many different nuances that come with it, but that early stage startup of a business is so important. I love that you highlight the fact that you're validating the offer obviously after you started it, because naturally the main excuse you hear from everybody is, oh, I just can't start. I need to make sure it's perfect. I need to put this product out. I wouldn't be happy buying it. And that's not the case, because the best feedback you're actually going to get is from your clients. You're not going to get that from yourself, because you don't actually know what they want or they need. So as you say, just go out, start, and then we can kind of batten that ship as we go. We can sort out all the leaks as we get to the point. And then, yes, everything has to be set if you are ready, when you're at the point and ready to scale. There's no good validating your offer while you're scaling, but doing that in between that initial stages is a really good point that you highlighted, which I really enjoyed. And I suppose, Bubba, it's a very busy world at the moment. You'll know yourself, there's so many people out there, especially online, it's very hard to get your message across sometimes. So what is working well for you, and just finding those right people to work with? What channels and methods are you trying out at the moment to just find those right customers to bring in?
Yeah. Now, a big thing for me is, if you are online and you're trying to share, it's hard to be an entrepreneur and not have some kind of presence online. It's almost like a necessary element of being an entrepreneur now. I'm a big believer in being authentic. Be authentically you, even if it's quirky, even if it's different or unique. I think the way that the algorithm works is that your people will find you.
Yeah.
And as long as you're authentic, that will come across on camera. They'll feel that you're being real. I think the days of people faking it are over. I think you just have to be real and authentic. That's step number one, is just to be yourself and to share your true values, your and what you have to offer people. So if you can share an expertise online and you have some unique skill set or angle on things, is to have the confidence of doing it. So get out there and just put yourself on. A lot of times you may see almost no growth for even a year potentially online of consistently posting. But usually once you've been able to do, consistently posting, the algorithm loves that. Somebody's going to start finding you, and that person's going to share it. And that's when they save it, when they share it, the liking is not as valuable as it used to be. But comments and shares and saves, those are typically a lot more valuable on the social side. So being able to create value where people want to save or share that content can be a lot more valuable. Once you start sharing online, it's almost like it can create an inbound lead funnel. And so this works both in the B2B front as well as the B2C. So business to business, whether you're on LinkedIn and you're doing business to business, but B2C, obviously, that's easy to see how it works on social. But an inbound lead funnel are usually a higher quality lead because they've seen you, they've watched your content, they know who you are, they trust that what you're saying is authentic. So when they do schedule a call, they're really interested in what you have. And if they took the time to schedule an appointment with you, the likelihood of them closing, the close rate is much higher. Now, look, I spent a decade with my previous company doing mostly outbound, sales for business to business. So we were picking up the phone, we're making cold calls, we're sending cold emails, we're doing, sequences, all this stuff. And that's a tough game because you might reach out to 100 people and hear back from 3 to 5, maybe 10 if you're lucky. And so then scheduling appointments with, 1 or 2 of those 100 that you reached out to, and going outbound is a completely different approach. Now, most businesses have to do both. They need to have some level of outbound approach as well as generating an inbound. An inbound can be through SEO, search engine optimization. It can be through paid ads, but social media has allowed a lot of people to generate inbound leads. The outbound approach is tough. Not everybody loves doing it, which is why we created Launch Leads, an outsourced sales company. Sounds like Closer.io can do the same, right? You guys are helping people close deals because it's tough. And so when you have a group who's expert in doing that, I can see the value, which is why I built the company way back in the day, But yeah, I think knowing that people are trying, they want to build their business, they want to start scaling, you're creating systems to market that product and service that you have, outbound, inbound lead flow, creating the funnel to where your sales team can get on the phone, talk to people. Or if you're doing it a lower priced product, maybe you don't have salespeople, and so you have to convert online. So, conversion optimization is going to be huge. A/B testing, all that kind of stuff too. So
yeah, I love it. As you say, it's the difference between the product and the service you're providing, and inbound and outbound, and massive hats on that. But it's all about the connection between. I love the way you started off by leading. Obviously, you're very authentic with the content you're putting out, especially in a world that is masked by AI at the moment. I 100% agree with what you said. I think you have to be yourself. You have to lean into your spidey senses, whatever makes you different, and don't be scared about it because the right people will find you. Not everyone, there's always someone out there that will like the service or the product you're providing because of who you are. So 100% lean into that. And then, as you say, adding on other avenues, other funnels as you look and grow and scale. But that inbound section is so important within those starts. Do you run any form of advertisements or anything for yourself, or is it just very organic when you are running that inbound?
Yeah, right now I'm just organic. Yeah, I will be creating paid ads for the future. But right now it's just all organic. Social content, having the inbound lead funnel right now, it's doing what it needs to do, and we can do a lot more. We're not even posting as much as we would want, but that's part of it, right? Is if you can create a system to where you can start generating that content, be consistent, getting it out there. We do use tools when you're online, like ManyChat, which is just DM automation to try and help. It's not the perfect system, but it seems to be, the best one out there right now. I'm sure there will be another one that will come out here soon and, compete with it. Because that when you have enough DMs, it's hard to keep track of everything.
I
So
agree.
if somebody is DMing me, please do. I do try to look through as many as I possibly can. If I don't respond, know that I'm trying my best to get to as many as possible. And if it's not me, maybe my team can help. But
Yeah, but as you say, having tools, teammates in place is nice on that aspect because it can get a lot. I suppose I think the great thing for advertisements, as you say, maybe the next step for yourself, once you have built in that really great organic funnel, you're basically just putting gasoline on the fire because you've already tested it, you know it works, you know you're already attracting those right kind of people, but you're just increasing your ecosystem to someone that isn't already following you or aware of you. So the way the algorithm works, you're putting that in, you've already done the grunt work yourself as a founder to build yourself to that level. It's just kind of putting some gasoline in that and we'll run it to the hills and see how far we can
yeah.
get. So it's a really nice system that you're building for yourself as well. And then Barbara, I suppose, what are your visions or your ambitions for the company moving forward? Like when you think of like the next 6 to 12 months ahead, what are those goals or those milestones you're looking forward to achieving?
Yeah, absolutely. So I need a lot more online programs for people because scaling when you're coaching and mentoring, there's only so much time that I have, and then
Yeah.
building the team of coaches that can help to follow the framework and go. That process can be able to help people more on a one-on-one basis. The group coaching, process of scaling group, it's one to many, and many people can be learning at the same time. It's a slightly different model just because they're not getting as much one-on-one support. But the principles are going to be the same as long as they can apply it themselves to their
Mm,
own business. Then group coaching can work great. Usually that's done on a bi-weekly basis. But then the online programs, I know people are saying like courses online, there's millions of courses out there, but if people actually look, there's the completion rate of courses, according to stats I read online, are only 10 to 15%. So
yeah.
people will buy a program and they won't complete it 9 out of 10 times. And it's like, if you bought the thing, if you bought the program, you gotta finish the program because there should be so much value. Like when I'm generating something to put online, like an online program, something digital that that anybody can buy at a much lower price point than one-on-one,
Yeah.
coaching programming. Um, it's I'm trying to put as much value into that as possible so that it's a no-brainer for how much it costs. And they're getting so much value as long as they complete it. Go from A to Z, finish the entire thing, even if it takes, weeks to do it. I just would, please, like whenever somebody buys a program, if you go through it, you'll get the value that you want. And if you execute on the concepts and ideas, you'll actually see change in your life. Because when I put these together, I'm taking the years of working with people one-on-one and I'm putting all of the concepts into a program so that you can do it on your own if you have enough motivation and discipline and accountability. Now, if you need the accountability partner, then you're just going to have to pay more for the coaching, which is great. That's totally fine. But and if that's how you know enough about yourself, that's great.
Yeah.
You work with a coach, be held accountable, have them push you every single week. And yes, you will move faster. You get one-on-one help. You will get more out of that one-on-one, and even the group coaching. But for the lowest cost, if you're just starting and you don't have the funds to do the coaching, those online programs can be one of the best investments if
Yeah.
you complete it and actually do what it says. Anyway, I just feel like too many people get started and then I don't know, Netflix is appealing, and so you play the video game or you watch Netflix or you whatever it is you're doing, and you miss out on finishing that program. Uh, and I'm sure all of us are guilty at some point of that kind of thing, but
Yeah.
you can find a lot more value when you really finish it.
I agree. I think, and 100%, you've already gone ahead and bought the program, put the effort in to finish it. I couldn't agree
Yeah.
more. And as you say, you should, if it is that accountability level you're looking for, we move up to the next step and take it from there. What I love about a course though in general is that it's more of an insight into somebody's world as well on that aspect as well. So you can go through the course and you can see what it's like to work with for you, for example, Barbara, and then from there take those next steps, into that group program or the one-to-one, how we feel more comfortable. What I love about any group aspect to any offer is the camaraderie you get from it. So obviously you've got like a group of people going through a very similar experience, very similar outcome they're looking for. Hopefully they can build their own relationships along the way, learn from each other, lean on each other, because again, you'll know being a founder can be a very lonely world. So having like, I suppose, teammates around you that are going through that same process, 100% lean on them as well. It just adds another layer to that offer that the one-to-one doesn't. So it's a really cool kind of setup that you've got going, and actually you can help so many people and just have that impact that you're looking for moving forward, which is really cool stuff. And Baba, we have run out of time to chat, but I could speak to you all day long. I do have one final question to ask you though.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time to a younger self, and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
Mm. I'd say get your priorities in order now. Put what's most important in your life first and make a list, put it in order, and use that as the litmus test of when you make choices, is it helping you achieve your ultimate goals in life? As long as you put your highest priorities first, and that's where your time and energy are going, then you'll end your life with a beautiful vision of fulfilling what you really wanted. And when you're on your deathbed, you can have confidence that you did the best you could with what you had and multiplying the talents that God's given you. But I think put the priorities in order now.
I love that. Beautiful stuff. And Bubba, thank you again for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they
I
would
love
like?
that. Yeah, so on LinkedIn is a great place to reach out. Please add me on LinkedIn. You can DM me there. If you get an auto response, just go ahead and schedule some time if you wanted to talk. There's a link that you can do it. And then Instagram. I'm on Instagram often. So Bubba Page is my handle. There's not too many Bubbas out there. Well, I'm sure there are. There aren't too many Bubba Pages. Let's just do that. So LinkedIn and Instagram are primarily where I'm found. And if you specifically wanted to schedule time to see how I might be able to help you one-on-one, reach out. We'll make sure to get that calendar. So DM. Usually on Instagram, you can DM the word CAL, short for calendar. So just DM Cal and you'll get my calendar link. We can hop on a call, whether it's with me or my team, and we'll be able to see if we can help you out through thebusinessbootcamp.com. If you're looking at investing and you're an angel investor and you want to invest, you can go to influence.vc and sign up totally for free with the program, and no commitment to invest, anything like that. Usually for founders who are wanting funding from an investor like me, if you can, ping me on LinkedIn, and there will be instructions in my DM to be able to do exactly what you need to as a founder looking for funding.
Beautiful stuff. And Bubba, thank you again for joining me. I really, really appreciated your time today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out Bubba Page. As he just said, we'll make sure all his accounts are linked below, but please drop him a message, check out the Instagram, check out his LinkedIn. I'm sure he'd love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing, and we will see you on the next.